What's that?
Trip hazards.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one's on for the cameras to be recording.
They
This
picked up
one,
real well last week.
It did. And this one, you have to push it to get it to be green when you wish to speak, and it cannot be on when Brand uses on, or else we'll have a lot of feedback. Okay.
So, when you do the agenda items, slide it over to you.
Sure.
I'm just watching.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you.
We don't have a printout of the agendas. Can we steal one from, is those the signing sheet from the table? Where's the one?
I don't know if those are agendas or something.
No, those are budget presentations.
We don't have any agendas printed out.
Do you have any agendas? Joe, this Joe. Do you have agendas, Joe? Just did it.
Good, Joe? That work? Oh, I might have turned it off. Are we good?
That's great. That's great. Yeah.
Okay. I'll call this meeting of the Montoursville Area School District Board of Directors to order on this work session on Tuesday, March 23rd, 2021 at 7:07 p.m. Would you all rise and join with me in the pledge of the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we do a roll call? do a roll call?
Okay, sure.
Brandy, would you take a roll call?
Mr. Albert is absent this evening. Dr. Beard? Dr. Beard here. Mr. Kunkel?
Here.
Mrs. Marriott? Here. Dr. Mathers?
Here.
Mr. Ruffin? Here. Mr. Schimmel?
Here.
Mr. Snell?
Here.
And Mr. Ulmer?
Here. The first item of business this evening is a presentation by our business manager on the budget talks for 2021-2022. So, Brandy, go ahead.
Okay. So, tonight we're going to discuss the expenditures. One point I want to bring out as we go over this is the data that I'm using to make these predictions. 2 of the years are years that are not normal, and let's hope we don't remain normal. The last 2 years that we're using to base these predictions off of have had a lot of COVID.
Go ahead, you're right.
I'm good?
It's not coming through. Joe's going to crank it up a little.
What number is it? 2. Is this better?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, due to COVID, we have a couple of years that have some interesting data that I'm pulling to try making these predictions. So you'll see some ups and downs and some other fluctuations as we go through this. So we're using more years of data, looking at more recent costs, but usages from prior years, doing a mixture of things to try to get the best accurate prediction. And again, this is a prediction that was made, it was kind of wrapped up on Friday. This information is already old, as you create budgets, projections, they change every time something changes. So we're going to go through this, and then we're going to go through everything together in April, at the end of April, and you're going to see lots of changes as we move forward through the process. So what you see tonight will not be what you end up seeing in the end, more than likely. So with that note, let's move on.
Keep it close.
Okay, is that better? You can have to yell at me probably like every slide. So first we're going to talk about the expenditures for instruction. The instruction costs are all activities dealing with direct interaction between teachers and students. These include related costs that can be directly attributed to the programs of the instruction. So this makes up our largest part of our budget, which is 58.5% what we currently have at. So here I put together where we actually ended up for 1920, which has some information that's kind of not 100% accurate because of COVID. Where the 2021 budget is, and we were preparing this budget not knowing, were we coming back to school, were we not coming back to school, with so many outlying areas. And then where I currently see everything coming in at, and what my estimate is last Friday on where these would be for 21-22. And then at the end, I show you an increase and a decrease over the prior year budget, so we can look at that too. The 100s, and in this budget, in this budget, every retirement is placed in this budget. So, in this graph right now, the administrators need to look at student numbers, where students are to determine what needs to be replaced, and what doesn't. We are still working on registrations for next year. There's a lot of unknowns with how many are going to come back from charter school. That affects on what we do. So right now, we're showing this as like a large expense because we're planning right now that we need these, but you know, we may work through this in the next month or two and decide we don't need them. So the wage increase over the prior year budget is $91,868. That's replacing all of them. If you look down at the 200s, those are your employee benefits. So when I budget for new hires, I budget at the most expensive benefit package that they can get. Because when we're hiring, we don't know what benefits that teacher is going to take. So we plan for a worst case, and sometimes it comes in a lot better. So with that, and last year we did have a few teachers jump onto the insurance after the initial insurance part of the estimate was done, and that has shown a significant increase then. So last year we budgeted $5,318,317. My estimate currently based on enrollments and what plans people currently have is going to be $5,472,194. So you see a larger increase there. We do not see any increases in the 300s. 400s, we see a little bit of an increase of $550, and 500s are repairs and maintenance of equipment. The 500s, this is where you'll see another real large increase that we have no control over, and these are our regular education charter cyber charter school costs. If you look at where we budgeted, where we came in for 1920, 380,000. We budgeted in 1920, 880,500. Last year when we were going over these, I showed some graphs on where our projections were going to be. And we didn't really increase it too much because we didn't know with everything going on with COVID, so we kind of left that alone. Current estimate for this year is $619,000, and I'll remind you, this is just the regular education portion of that cyber charter school. Because when I presented back in November those costs, they were larger, but that also includes the special education cyber charter costs. So my estimate for 21-22 is $481,150, and that does create a $100,000 increase. And that is due to thinking, hopefully with the vaccine out, with numbers have really been dropping, that hopefully we can get back to some normalcy next year, and we may see more kids returning from those cyber schools. So I'm hoping it doesn't come in as large as it is this year. Something we're going to have to watch as we walk through this budget process of where we look like we're going though. Supplies, we have a increase of $12,200. And that's just your supplies for your classrooms there. Your property is new equipment, replacement equipment. You see an increase of $3,100. And your other objects, your $800, you see an increase of $200. And that's just some fees that we have for some of our services went up just a little bit. So overall, this piece of the budget went up $362,473. So, did you have a question?
Yeah, Yeah, I do, on the 500s. That's cyber and charter schools, and I think it was a month or so ago, you let us know that the projected bill for cyber and charter schools is going to be over $1 million. Here you have a current estimate of 618. What happened?
Okay, so like I said, this is for regular education. This is not all the cyber put together. This does not have anything to do with our own cyber, and it doesn't have anything to do with this, the special education cyber portion.
So that 1.1 million or whatever.
1.4
1.4 million was all of it.
is all of it together. That's why I emphasize this is just regular.
And what was budgeted for all that together?
I'll have to look that up because I don't know what was budgeted for all of them together off the top of my head. If you go back to November, I think it was all on that slide though. So here, we're going to special education programs. Here in the 100s, you see the increase of $47,398. And for the 200s, you see the increase of $38,320. And why that is larger is because we did have someone switch plans also on there. So that is why that increase, plus your fees are in there. The 300s, this is where we put the IU contract. And the IU contract, I didn't really change very much with the IU contract because we haven't received it yet. In years past, I put 5 or 7 or some sort of increase trying to project where it would come in. This year, I didn't really know where to do that because enrollment has changed and there's so many other things that have fluctuated a little bit. I felt just leaving it level this year in this part of it and then wait to get it and then we can change it as needed. So I have like a $5,000 increase there. Nothing in the 400s. Here is where we have the charter increase in the 500s. So here we have actuals for 1920 of $422,499. And where we have budgeted this year is $345,000. The current estimate is $477,536. And the estimate that I put in there for 21-22 is $470,000. This is an increase of $125,000. For 600s are the supplies. And you have a little bit of an increase there of $850. And there is no increases in 700s and 800s, which brings us to $216,568 increase. Okay. Moving on to the vocational education here. Last year when we were putting together the budget, we were thinking that we may not have as many kids as what initially signed up going to VOTEC because of all the COVID stuff going on. So we had budgeted $262,390. My current estimate for that is $282,951. And my estimate for 21-22 is $295,396, which is an increase of $33,006. I did change it to 42 students in the budget, and I added a little bit of an increase because that goes up a little bit for each student annually. So that's where that is coming in at currently. Once we do get an exact number, we can then go ahead and adjust that one.
Randy, since they're cutting out drafting, how many people do we have, or how many students do we have in drafting this year?
One.
One?
We have one who wants to go and one who isn't. I think I put that in my update.
Yeah, I think that went out on Friday.
Yep.
And then the other instructional programs, this is like summer school, driver's ed, alternative education, those kinds of programs. Wages, no change there. Employee benefits, $100 increase due to teasers. The 300s, this is where the 300s and the 500s. So originally we were budgeting e-learning down in the 500s, but we've actually been taking it out of the 300s, and the 300s is where it does belong. So I put that back up into the 300s and took it out of the 500s. But we were originally budgeting $57,000, and actually it's two payments of $57,000. It's $57,000 per semester, not for the whole year. So when we put that up there, that does increase the 300s to $115,000, and it decreases the 500s. I also changed a few other little things in the 500s to take it down 61,000. So that should bring us in right around an increase of $54,100.
You know what our increase on pieces is for next year?
That was put out in December. That goes up to 39.94. That's what's used for all these already.
I'm talking about the money we pay in pieces per dollar that's made.
39.94% is the percentage for next school year.
So 40 cents on the dollar, basically, Ron.
Yes.
40 cents. 40 cents on every dollar of salary would be Peaser's
I'm
cost.
gonna have to look because I just met with the watchdog on Caesars, and I don't remember it being quite that high.
Were you-
It was a minimal increase for next year.
34.94. I think I said 39. Because she said 40, and that just triggered my head. Wait, why did she say 40?
Yeah.
Yeah, 34. I'm sorry.
And Ron, did they also include for you what it was for the premium assistance share as well with that, when you were speaking with them?
No, that I can find out.
No, we have that. That's included.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
So what does that come out to dollar-wise? Last year was about 90,000.
on the increase.
Yeah.
Okay.
We paid last year to this year is about 90,000 more in fees. How much this year and next year? Figure that out.
Yeah, I can't look up things and to everything here while that, and I don't know that off the top of my head. I have it on a spreadsheet, but I can't get to it. Support services, services that provide administrative, technical, such as guidance, in-house, and logistical support to facilitate and enhance instruction. This is 26.6% of our budget, which is the second largest portion of our budget. So pupil personnel services, which is your guidance and your psychological services, wage increases, of $9,853. Employee benefit increases, which is your teasers, is $6,000. Your 300s has a little bit of an increase of $1,000. Your 500s have a little bit of an increase of $4,000, and this was for some additional tests that we need, testing something. And then supplies had $800 increase. So overall, for this section of guidance and psychological services, you're seeing an increase of $20,953.
Remember what that increase in other purchase services is? It's quite a bit of an increase.
The $4,000, it was for testing. I don't remember exactly what the testing is. I don't just go read the testing. It's something that they needed.
Ron, it could be for the elementary Acadians testing that we do.
So it's student testing.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's all
Yes.
student-driven
Yes.
stuff. So next, we're going on to the instructional staff services, which is the tech department and the library departments. You'll see here that we have wages with a decrease of $37,451. This is to a restructuring of the tech department this past year, so this creates a savings there, and it also created a savings in the employee benefits piece of this of $40,970. This is due to employees that were hired taking a lower benefit package, and the teasers obviously goes down because the wages went down. 500s, that increase you see there of the $9,300, that is for the cyber insurance that we purchased in January. That will be coming out every January. And that was something that we determined was important to have, especially with all the devices out there. 600 is the supplies. So, and supplies for the tech and library department are mainly made up of softwares. And there we have a decrease of $9,340. The teachers and tech department have been working together determining what's needed, what works best, and been going through softwares and really doing a great job there. 700 for the property, that is computers, switches, smart boards, UPS batteries, server, host costs. So overall there, you'll see in 1920, we spent $417,912. That's a huge number because we bought a lot of Chromebooks. What we budgeted in 2021 was $73,004, and we're estimating it's going to come out at is $340,500 for this year, and that's due to purchasing additional equipment that we have purchased with grants. So that is in there. The estimate for 21-22 is $125,990, which over the budget is an increase of $52,986. Overall, the library and tech departments show a decrease of $25,275.
Explain to me the 700s is for computers. Explain to me why when the government, federal government, gave us grants that we bought computers that we wouldn't have been replacing until next year, why did it increase? It should have decreased, not increased, because those computers that we bought that should have been replaced next year are already bought.
Okay, this is more than just computers, as I explained. It's like switches, smart boards, UPS various server host costs. It's a combination of other things also going in there. And it's an estimate currently for right now. We don't know exactly what everything's going to come in at, but it's not just computers. And we have to start building a budget that maintains our costs so that we are not up and down each year. So, you know, right now it's at 125,000, but like I said, we may come back and say it's not going to be that much moving forward. We have to look at everything and evaluate everything. This is a first draft of this, so it's not just computers, there's other pieces.
I realize that, but computers is a big ticket item, and we already got computers on a cycle period replacement, and now we're a year ahead, so that number should be a minus number.
It won't be a minus number, Ron. We signed up for a 1-to-1, which is just computers. However, when we're looking at the tech devices in the classroom, we're starting, and Sebastian had prepared a 5-year plan for everyone. You'll also see that there are whiteboards that no longer work with the items that we have. So the whiteboards, to be interactive with the student devices, would also need to be changed. That is on his 5-year plan. He has all of that laid out for us. So it's not, what Brandy's sharing with you, it's not just computers, it's other types of classroom technologies.
So what you're telling me is, if we would have got federal money to replace them computers, next year's computers, that $52,986 would be $300 and some thousand more. Well, actually, we'll say just up shy of $300,000 more than the $52,986.
It would be, because I think what you're anticipating, and I think I'm understanding what you're saying is replacement of computers. There was no replacement of computers. This is a whole new batch of computers. This was 1,400 new computers.
Oh, no, it wasn't. It was a replacement of computers when we got the money, because I remember the vote being taken, and I said that.
The 1-to-1 initiative is 1 computer per child. We've never had that.
I realize that.
Yeah.
But those extra computers for next year's replacement were spent, that was done on
We've done most everything. Right, we've done most everything on a grant that way. Are you, Brandy just asked, are you talking about the teacher laptops that when you were president, we bought used laptops? Are you talking about those 4 years ago?
No, I'm talking about our IT person put computers in a rotation where we would replace so many per year. Next year we had so many that we was going to replace.
The iPads. You're talking about iPads.
When we got federal money,
We bought
we went ahead
iPads.
and replaced them ones for next year, and I brought up, does this mean that the IT budget's going to be less since the computers that we was going to replace next year are already replaced?
Okay, so I think I got where you're coming now. Yes, he bought those ones a year early, but that would have been added to this. So, and I don't think the iPads were 300. I don't remember the exact invoice on those ones.
They were 257 or 280 after you had to pay the Microsoft fees and things with them, a piece.
Okay.
That way.
So, but yes, it would have been that much more. And to maintain the 1-to-1, slowly this is going to have to go up because you're going to have to replace those devices every 5 years. And so you want to you're replacing so many each year, and that's what we want to get it to.
And that's, with the other computers, that's what we was on, rotation, to replace so many every year.
Right. Okay?
But I think, Ron, the one point is when we were on that replacement, we maybe had 1,200 computers district-wide. Now, we have an exponential amount of computers because we've given one to every student. We replaced the ones for the CAD lab. Remember, those had to be replaced as well. So I think that when you say that, at one point we were replacing them on this schedule because we had about 1,200. Now we have to replace them on a different schedule, a more accelerated schedule, because of having that many more.
We do realize we're not going to be in a period every year where we need one-to-one instruction on Chromebooks.
The children are going to use them every year. We made that statement when we purchased them, that they're not going to be bookends.
Moving on to administration services. Here you'll see your 100s increased $15,304. Your employee benefits increased $8,665. Your purchased professional technical services increased about $150. Your 400 stays the same. You see a savings in your 500s of $250. You see a savings of $1,000 in your supplies, a savings of $1,500 in your property. Overall, an increase of $21,369. Pupil health services, these are your nursing services. You have a retirement in this staff this year, so here you're going to see some additional savings. Your wages of $19,071. Your benefits will see a savings of $4,930, and that could be more depending on the healthcare plan that the replacement selects. The purchased professional and technical services, you see a decrease of $20,000. We had to have an athletic nurse on for sporting events for a student, and we no longer have the need for that service, so that item has been taken out of the budget there. For purchase property services, you'll see a $550 increase. For the supplies, you'll see a $1,200 increase. For property, you'll see a $1,550 increase. Overall, you'll see a $40,701 decrease. Business services. In your 100, you'll see an increase of $5,602. In your employee benefits, you'll see an increase of $14,415. And again, there's a benefit selection change in there and fees. And in your 700s for property, you'll see a $1,000 increase there for an overall increase of $21,017. Moving on to operation and maintenance of plant services. Wages, you'll see an increase of $46,725. Employee benefits, you'll see an increase of $24,884. No change in the 300s. Your 400s, this category contains items such as trash, electric, extermination, repairs, maintenance, water, sewage. You'll see here I have a higher estimate here, and this, again, is a starting point for this. I tend to be more cautious going into your first part of your budget year. Because we have some costs that are coming in a little bit higher this year than what I thought they would have been. And I don't know if that will change moving forward. So being prepared right now, we have increased that to $613,120. That's an increase of $60,100. Again, that's an area where we'll keep watching it and make a better estimate towards that as we move closer to the end of April. 500s, you'll see in there an increase of $4,317. And the main increase there, I did a percentage increase on the insurance premium. That tends to go up every year. I don't have it yet, so I know about what it goes up, and I did put that in there so that you did have that in there. Cleaning supplies and gas and oil are part of your 700s, and I have a decrease in there of $11,900. 700s are property equipment. That does have an increase of $11,200 for next year, for an overall increase of maintenance services of $135,326.
Randy, is that 60,000 increase, is that totally reoccurring expenditures because of services that we are getting? Is that the only thing that figures into that 60,000?
No, it includes your maintenance and your repairs. Like I said, that number will probably be a little bit different coming up, but right now it has a few things in it that need to be on it until I have more information. Moving on to student transportation services. I have no changes budgeted for next year. Last year we did move that up and budget transportation to where it is closely running, and I'm confident it will be right in that same area next year. You'll see this year we have a little bit of a decrease, and that's due to being shut down for COVID for my estimate, but overall I have the budget estimated at the same as we did for 2021 for there. Moving on to non-instructional. These are activities concerning providing non-instructional services to students, staff, or the community. And this makes up a smaller portion of the budget, the smallest portion of our budget, 2.2%. Okay, here you have an increase in your wages of $6,600, an increase in the employee benefits of $3,900. Your 300s, you have an increase of $700, and those are elected officials for sporting events mainly. 400s is purchase property services, is your electric repairs, rentals. There I have a $4,000 decrease. 500s is your transportation and travel, and there I had a $5,400 increase. Supplies have an increase of $625. 700s is equipment replacements. There's an increase of $5,000, and 800s is other objects, which is dues and fees, which has a decrease of $200. Overall, an $18,025 increase. expenditures, this is your other expenditures, this is your debt expenditures here. So, in 1920, we did some refinancing, and we were able to save some money. So we saw that savings in 1920. When we were planning last year's budget, I had talked about, budgeting where it is going to be, because we are going to see some savings in 2021 for the refinancing also. And to make a better balanced budget, we moved it back to where it was actually going to come in at, and that is where the budget is for 2021. And then for 21-22, we move our payments back up to where they are scheduled to be, which is $23,818, which is an increase of $141,751. So overall here, you can look to see where our actual expenditures were for 1920, where they're estimated to be for 2021, and where they're estimated to be for 21-22. And then I have the column over there, an increase over the 2021 budget. And right now it's at $958,612. Again, I'm going to state this is a projection right now. We had to create a budget to be safe. That's where we would look at having these at. As we gain more information, the information will be updated and it will change. As we work through the process, it changes every year. So, the timeline. Tonight we're covering expenditures. On April 27th, we'll go over the full budget review. We'll put all the pieces together. There'll be lots of updates. There'll be lots of new information, hopefully. And we'll be able to go really into it and see where everything is falling. May 11th, we'll adopt the proposed final budget. And then we'll continue working through changes, because changes come through right up until, it's finalized. We'll review those changes at the end of May, and then we'll look for an adoption of a final budget on June 8th. Yeah, any discussions on this? Just remember, this is a work in progress, and we'll be working through it over the next several months.
As we were going through, I was actually paying more attention to this year and what you were saying we're going to be looking at in the next. My question, or I'm reading this right now, you were suggesting we're going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 270,000 over budget in our current year. And when I went through the breakout, basically it seemed to hit 3 areas. Special ed, which you're projecting this year we're going to be 110,000 over budget. Instructional support services, we're going to be 181,000 over budget. And in the maintenance services, 186,000. I think on the instructional staff services, we're talking about a lot of the support hardware that we needed to purchase for us to do our remote education. I guess I'm not looking for answers tonight, but if you would look at those 3 years and give me some idea. Special ed probably is very self-explanatory.
It's your charter schools.
As to why I know that much was possible. Maintenance services, again, I did look.
It's the purchase of a lot of the stuff that we bought due to COVID.
I'm sorry.
It's the purchase of a lot of the stuff that we've purchased for COVID.
Okay, that we saw them in this year, but we won't see them in next year.
We may not see a lot of them in next year, hopefully.
Which leads me into my next question. As I went through the expenditures, I saw that you didn't break out one-time expenditures. Whereas when we look at revenue,
I'll be putting it back in when we look at it together. Ms. Jason and I were trying to break it out, and literally I was going through invoice through invoice through invoice, and yeah. So we discussed it and we put it back in.
related to the grants that we received.
Yes,
Right, and that's what,
Certain items that are linked to
yes,
revenue.
yes, that's exactly correct.
and we'll be putting the grant funding back in.
Yes,
Where, for me, it would have special significance is when you are projecting now for 21, 22. I mean, we're looking at a $1 million grant from the EASER street funding that have to be one-time purchases for the most part, that would be reflected in that budget. Are they in there or they're not in there? I mean, we talked about,
So,
an MSD? Is that
MTSS,
correct acronym?
MTSS,
Okay.
yes,
Now again, adding a second one at the elementary level
yes,
and use some of this funding for that.
possibly,
Again, our caution would be, that's going to be maybe a one-time funded position,
correct,
but we see that in 21, 22. And there would be money for multiple support staff that I'm looking at instructional aides that would, if I was reading correctly, some of the, I thought potential uses, or maybe they are identified. What I would like to see is in that EASER's 2 grant of $1 million, where the money is being allocated to. How much are we spending for the teacher? How much for the aides? We're talking about additional pay for, I'll call it overtime, for our teachers, where they're planning for the remediation that they're going to be doing with, some of the students. And last, and maybe the big ticket item is the upgrade of the math program. There were, I thought, 4 main things seemed to be identified, and I would like to know the dollars that are going to be expended, there. And I assume that a lot of those are going to be expended in the 21, 22 budget year. Where we're showing this 958,000, I'll call it budget deficit, or an increase in expenditures anyway. I'm wondering if there are some of those grant revenues that will match up against, some of those.
there definitely will be.
yes,
Yes, there definitely will be.
Okay.
However,
And that's why I wasn't paying a lot of attention to what you're talking about next year, because if I understood correctly, you began with the premise that you are going to have retirements, that that's still being evaluated.
yes,
Whether we need to fill those positions
Yes.
or not.
yes,
Which again, I congratulate you for that line of thought, which I know is part of the philosophy here, but in this budget period of time, we really need to always review those positions as they become available and see if we can maybe support our students and not put as much man-hours.
so,
what Brandy shared with you today is also that the administrative team has not done any of those evaluations as of yet. So when we're starting to speak of what is it that we want to spend the grant monies on, I think there are 2 lines of thought. First line of thought is, where are the educational deficiencies due to the pandemic first? So when you're looking at the educational deficiencies, we need the data to show us what they are, and then how do we remediate? We did a portion of that already with our teaching staff because they are piloting that math program that we were speaking to you about. And looking at that, that is definitely something that will be a remediation as well as an acceleration tool for us once it is decided. However, that in and of itself is not in this budget because it probably will take longer to evaluate that than just 21, 22. So 22, 23 perhaps is when you'll see that piece, that specific piece. And then the other piece of this is looking at the long-term financial position of the district and how do we use those monies to make the long-term financial portion of the district after you complete the educational process better. How do we continuously do that and make it better? So those are the constructs of how we're looking at that.
What confuses me about this is there was a deadline when we had to identify our usage of the grant money.
Go ahead. Under ESSERS, it's a 3-year to a 5-year opportunity.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes. Many of them, you do have timelines, and we have hit all of those benchmarks with those. However, ESSERS is an open option because there's so many different types of school districts who, when they receive this money, you had spoken of districts who were choosing to upgrade HVAC. If you choose to do that, and let's say all of the Lycoming counties did that, how many actual bidders would you receive and what kind of price would you receive for that? So I think we need to evaluate the educational components first, then make those long-term decisions about how can we help the district moving forward with this amount of money.
And this again was, I think, creating the confusion for me, because I thought there was a deadline and we had to already have met to say where we were going to spend the money. And I knew you would start the process to evaluate the remediation required by our students. And I didn't know if that process had been completed. Again, I think, I know I would, and I'm sure other board members would be interested in hearing kind of where our students are at. I'd like to think, because we've been pretty aggressive in getting especially our elementary kids back in, that maybe there isn't quite as great a need of remediation there. But you did share some statistics as far as our high school students, we have a number that are struggling.
Yes.
And I can tell you, I've got parents, in one case a grandparent, talking with me about,
Sure.
their grandchild was an honor student and is in danger of failing
Yes.
the courses now. And it's because that in-person learning wasn't there. And
Yes.
boy, does that hit home in terms of, again, the importance of being in person.
Yes.
And the fact that I think our district did a good job of keeping our students in the classroom as much, as we could. Before I stop my monologue here, one other thing, Randy. Last year, I found it extremely helpful that on the February 25th budget update you gave us, you took and summarized all of the expenditures in the 100 to 900 categories. And you gave us last year, you gave us the current year, you gave us the proposed for next year, but you also took it out one more year so we could get a look at what 2 years would be. Now, when I look back at the data that we looked at last year, it is quite different because after that initial analysis, the district went through a very detailed look at its costs, and there were cost-cutting measures that were taken. So when we look at where we thought we were going to be ending up on the expenditure side, we're much less because of those cuts, and some of those will carry through. But if you can recreate that, for me, it gave a nice summary. This is great for the detail, being able to explain why each category was. But that summary, with all the salaries are bowls of money that's gonna come.
Mhm.
And what I read suggested it's gonna be double what we received with either student. So we're gonna be looking at, perhaps over $2 million. Again, they're very targeted, the
Yes.
money we're going to be able to use.
Yes.
In a couple of budget years.
And we did receive a letter.
I'm very interested in seeing how that can impact, and my overall goal is to minimize, if not get a year here where we don't have to go out to the property owners for tax increase because of just the grant money and things that we can do with that.
Mhm.
That are
That's why the evaluation has to be very definitive on making sure that it is one-time costs and making sure that we utilize those to establish the district's money and free the district's money up to be used for that long-term goal. Perhaps it's for debt. That's what Brandy and I have been talking about, and using some of those pieces so that we can get to aligning it to that so that we pay down our debts much faster. So that's a long-term view. But we do need to see what the evaluation is on our students first.
When we're the term long-term, and I'm not sure 22, 23 is going to hit it yet, but we,
Well-
as a board, have to get off our duffs, and we have to get it on the table in terms of what we're going to do with the ballot. We had a very in-depth study. It gave us some terrific options, but then the pandemic hit.
Yes.
And all of that planning went out the window, and of course, we just passed on one component, of that. But it doesn't mean that the need has gone away.
Correct.
And again, I believe in starting the budget, and maybe it will be in the 21, 22, but probably in the 22, 23, where we start to budget some money that'll help offset what borrowing we will have to incur to complete the project involving, the valley.
And that's what we're already discussing. We're already discussing how can we take the debt that we currently have, reduce the debts that we currently have, put us in a position where Standards & Poor's will give us our A+ rating back. You don't have to borrow the $80,000 to $100,000 to have a new loan if you're going to choose to do something. So those are all of the pieces as we're looking at this that must fit together. Educational programs, we have to evaluate first. Those teaching programs, we evaluate those. Opportunities for kids has to be first, and then we will make those decisions and present them to you as far as the distinction on those long-term goals. I know 2016, we had said in 2019, this is what we're going to do. In 2000 here, this is what we're going to do. Brandy has done all of those pieces, and you have been able to see some of the benefits of doing that. There's more benefits of doing that now, and they compound on one another once you get to do those. So I know I'm telling you, I'm preaching to the choir.
My problem is I want it yesterday. But again, the details, the planning, I need to see them. And I think the whole board needs to see them. So, everyone here is working on it, so the details, they gotta come out. But again, if you would, Randy, maybe at, the next month meeting, if you could just hit that.
That won't be at the next board meeting because we are in the middle of a contract negotiation, so it's not really going to be accurate. I prefer to wait until we have a negotiation pretty close to wrapped up, so those numbers look more real. Does that make sense to you? Because I don't want to give you a false impression, because they'll change as soon as we do.
I can deal with estimates, you have some idea. I just think that we need to start to see those, historical data, but also what's happening in the year coming up, but also 2 years. And again, I'd love to see planning. If we can get out where we're close to a 4 or 5 year window, I really think as a district, that's where we need to be, especially since we're, looking at this.
And once we have contracts, that gives us a better idea of what our costs are going to be. And, because I would be just guessing what everyone's going to negotiate and putting that in. But once we have the contracts, yes, it's easy to do, just put it all out there so you can see your costs on your wages and benefits for the next 5 years.
Great, thank you.
So, okay?
If this budget right here, this final budget that we approved, there would be over a $958,000 deficit. If
There's no revenue, so you can't determine the deficit.
you can give us numbers what the projected revenue is going to be.
That's already changed.
Well,
Like, it changes, like, that, those wouldn't match up to these expenditures at this point.
it might have changed, but it's not. There's still going to be a deficit.
Currently, yes.
And if this was the final budget, and the average property assessment supposedly is $128,814. If taxes were raised to the highest amount allowed by law, which would give an increase to that person that has a $128,000 property, he would be paying an extra $81 a year. That would still leave us with a deficit of $465,000 approximately. So we need to, as we move forward, we need to trim this budget so we don't have a budget or a deficit like that.
Every year, we start right where we are.
I know,
Yes.
but here's the thing.
And every year, we move back
It's nice
down
to start
because
where
you
we are
have to.
right now, but the problem I see with that is it's an attempt to get the public to say, oh, look, they trimmed. Well, if we start trimming when the first budget's given out, and then looking at it and maybe trimming just a little bit more, maybe the support from the community would be a lot greater.
I think we do have the support of the community, first of all, Ron.
I'm talking about support, I'm not talking about support for the kids and the teachers in there. I'm talking about support on what their taxes are going for.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Because I know the community does support what this district does.
They definitely do, yes.
But currently, right now, this is not a picture of where our taxes would be because the revenues are not there. These are just expenditures. Some of these expenditures in here may have grant monies that are going to be used for them. So it's not a clear picture of what our tax increase would need to be. And plus, like I said, that revenue data is now a month old. Now I have another month of data and changes that have been made to that. So everything has evolved another month ahead on the revenue side. So it's not, this is what it's going to be, because that data is old and this data is newer.
Oh, I didn't say this is what it's going to be.
No, but I just want you to know, like, that's not where, because when we looked at revenues also, we didn't include any grant money. And some of this stuff will be grant money.
And as far as that grant money that we're going to be getting, it's $2 million. I can't see. $2,142,000. And of that $2,140,000, between $400,000 and $500,000 has to be used directly on the students.
Correct.
The rest of that money can be used to improve air quality. And that would be one big benefit at the ballot. And that's all I got to say about that at this time.
Questions down there? Okay.
Thank you, Brandy.
Thank you, Brandy. Okay, at this time, the board invites the public to come forward for public comments on agenda items, items of concern. The budget tonight you saw presented, you comment on that. Any other, actions by the board, items of deliberation, anything that's in Montoursville area school district related, you're welcome to come forward and provide a public comment. The comment is a 3-minute unpaused time frame, And when you step forward to make comment, please let us know your name and address, and then speak to us. So, if there's anybody that wishes to come forward, please.
I feel due to the amount of emails and phone calls that myself and the other board members have received, and now hearing the community speak here tonight, we need to take another look at the decision to delete public comments. The board and the community understand that children's names and any personal information need to be deleted. Also, if a speaker mentions someone in the community and any information pertaining to that person, it should be deleted. The community understands that. The community needs to stop getting boilerplate answers back to their emails. Telling them to contact the Office of Open Records and to ask them is because everyone knows that the answer from the OOR is going to be, it isn't required by law. But in the interest of transparency, we need to stop that way of thinking. When a community member gets up to speak during a public board meeting, those words are now public information. Again, some words need to be deleted from the rebroadcasting, but the times where a name or personal information was spoken have been few and far between, and we all know that. Any person unable to attend the board meetings should have the ability to hear legal public discussion. I have watched the videos, and not only public comments are being deleted, but also comments by board members and administration are being deleted. Is that complete transparency? Definitely not. We need to do a better job as a board. In fact, the last board meeting has the whole first part of the meeting completely deleted. We need to seriously reconsider putting legal public comment back in the videos so those that can't attend know what was discussed. They need to be able to hear what the concerns of their fellow community members are. Those comments and discussions are important. And I want to just say, as an elected official and a school board member, I do not want any of my comments deleted from those videos.
Joe, you want to take that mic down? One, if any of the board comments or discussions or anything is being deleted or not put up, we'll make sure that's fixed. That is absolutely not what is intended, and absolutely we will get that remedied. Two, as far as the public comment that we're removing, there are two reasons, and I've covered this in email in detail. I tried to keep the email succinct and short, so there was not too much verbiage in it. One, we don't own the rights to the comments. Now, the idea of something being revealed that shouldn't be revealed, yes, we all understand that. But the second item is we don't own the right to rebroadcast those. That is what legal counsel told us, and we have to act on that. If we go against what legal counsel tells us, we put ourselves in jeopardy. So unless somebody comes out of the woodwork with a legal case law, or a ruling that says, no, you're okay, we're stuck. Personally, I wouldn't care if the comments are on I don't care if the whole thing's out there. But we've been advised, you don't have the rights. So we have to go with what legal counsel says. We're stuck. That's just the way it is. So I don't know what else to say about this. That's where we are. If you can help us out, the gentleman in the red hat, if you want to find a lawyer somewhere, you said you have some money. If you'd like to get some case law for us that shows us we're okay to leave it in there, I'd be fine. I'd be fine with that. You see the dilemma we have? We're not trying to shut anybody up, and I resent that. That's a damnable lie, frankly. We're not trying to shut anybody up. I don't believe in that for 1 second. In fact, I'd like to have one of your hats. Said, I'm more like you than you think. So to be called a censor, I personally, it just makes my blood boil because it's a lie. You understand? So I'm sharing with you personally where I am on this. So until we get legal counsel that protects this district and this board, we are stuck where we are. Okay, I hope I've made that clear.
Mr. Schillman, once a person...
You're not a lawyer, and your opinion, it's just an opinion. It's just an opinion, you're not a lawyer.
Once somebody speaks in a public meeting, that what they say is public information.
And we've had a lawyer say otherwise, Juan. Who do we believe? You or a lawyer?
No, it was a lawyer's opinion.
That's right, we have to go.
Tell us what the law was. Let's see where the case is.
So now you're telling me you know better than a lawyer.
No, I'm saying you have a lawyer show us where there's a case that says that we can't.
He would not have given that advice and counsel if it wasn't accurate. He would not have just made up a pipe dream. So that's where we have to stand. I wish it wasn't so. I wish all the videos were complete, front to back, everything. But we can't do that until we hear otherwise. It's that simple.
I think Sue would like to say something.
And Brenda, I appreciate your email today, and I think you had a good point about, you know, do we worry too much about what could happen, that we kind of become paralyzed. But I guess for me the issue is, how then, once the school district broadcasts the public comment on YouTube, how do you guys retain the right to have your comment taken down if and when you ever want to take it down? And if you've been following the news, are you guys familiar with the Teen Vogue editor that recently, Alexi McCammon, got the position as editor of Teen Vogue, and before she started, social media posts that she had made 8 to 10 years earlier came to the forefront, and she had to step down from that job. And again, maybe I worry too much, but what I'm thinking is, what if any member of the public says something in a public comment of a meeting, we rebroadcast it on YouTube, and it's there 10 years later, and then what if it resurfaces when someone's looking on social media, and then it costs that public member a job or a job opportunity? I mean, in my mind, then we're responsible because we took away your right to A, remember that it was even out there, and B, to make a decision about when you wanted it removed. And I mean, it could be anything, but even we've had students bring up the issue of, you know, whether the mascot should still be the Warriors. So if someone says something in public comment about that, and again, 10 years later, someone's searching social media through a search engine and finds something. So I guess my disbelief is that your words are your personal property, that you retain the right to publish, but you should also have the right to have it removed or taken down. And again, that, you know, we could worry about potential liability, but social media is going to get bigger and bigger and worse. And I see that as a matter of protecting your rights to your words, so that we aren't responsible for you or a student making a public comment that 10 or 15 years later is taken out of context. That just seems dangerous to me. I'd rather have you guys have the ability to say, this is when I want it taken down.
We can't take the responsibility of worrying that everything that people put out into the public in any meeting or on any social media onto ourselves and say that's our fault. That person has to take the responsibility of what they say during this meeting. So sometimes I think in discussions like this, we can get, you know, really heartfelt, and we can have a heart for every decision. But in this their main concern of why they should not have recorded public comment for them. One thing really quickly, and streamlining meetings was last week, like maybe 2 weeks ago, and you quoted that, you know, you don't legally have to do these things, and, you know, you use the law in that situation, and you kept saying, you know, we're trying to streamline, and this is what we want. And I asked, you know, very nicely to start, but I kept getting that answer until we, you know, we had to go through the whole process and the whole battle. Well, here we are, and it's kind of the same thing. And you said, Mr. Schimmel, that you had taken offense to us, you know, saying that we don't trust your intention of why this is being done. Well, because when it was a choice for streamlining, you pushed that legally you don't have to do it, and you stuck to it even though that wasn't the right thing for the public. So you have to understand that this is just the B to the A. Last week it was A, this week it's B, and it's, yeah, the law says this and I don't have to do this, and you know, that's the way
And
it is.
that is not the way I characterized that in the email to you. And so you're taking my words and you're twisting them, and I really take offense at that.
I don't intend to do that. I don't intend to
It's
do that.
happening right now. It's happening right now. I explained to you that the board wanted to streamline the meeting, to shrink it, and it was its good intentions gone awry. And we fixed it. We fixed it. We didn't intend ever,
A little bit of the same issue.
we didn't hide behind the law to do that.
And also, who wanted the recommendation from the attorney?
I explained that to you 3 people have said to you, no one went fishing. Do you understand me? No one went fishing for an answer. It came to us in the process of discussion about the comments on students. And the attorney said, what are you doing? He said, I can't believe you're doing this. You don't have rights to redistribute that, to rebroadcast that. You need to pull that down. He gave us legal advice that we weren't even seeking. We didn't go fishing. Can we get that clear now? We did not go fishing for the answer.
We take an end to this real easy by just having us sign a legal document that says if we say anything in here, then
I wish that was it. I wish it was that simple. It's not. It's not. You can't relieve us of liability. We're guilty with you. Again, I wish there was.
I'll tell you how simple it is.
No, it isn't.
I'll tell you how simple it is, Mr. Schimmel. We have a solicitor here at every meeting. If a community member is getting up at that podium and he's saying something that puts us in trouble, that solicitor, we're paying him.
There's
2
2 issues. There's that, but we don't have the right to rebroadcast. I've said those 2 things. That's the guidance we were given. That's the advice we were given. That's the counsel we were giving. And until we have something that that goes against that and says, oh, wait a minute, looky here, we're stuck. And that's how I feel stuck.
This way, I gave it to you tonight, there you have it. So Pennsylvania common law recognizes the doctrine of absolute immunity for high public school officials, holding that the Torts Clean Act does not abrogate high public officials' absolute immunity from civil suits arising out of false defamatory statements. Moreover, Pennsylvania courts have recognized that school superintendents, such as Defendant Hornbeck, the president of the school board, such as Defendant Paulson, qualify as high public officials for the purposes of this common law doctrine. I don't know where the person is that you talk to or where they practice law, but in Pennsylvania, this is a Pennsylvania Tort Claims Act that protects you. You're not going to be found out. Now, you're not going to
Okay.
file a YouTube case because YouTube is fairly new still to the law. It's 10 years in running here, if it even exists 10 years from now. Regardless, YouTube, you're going to have to compare that to patent or copyright law. You all would be immune. You all would be immune. I don't know how anybody would get around that.
I can see what you're saying would help, definitely help with the liability of someone who says something that we don't say that, and it's on a recording. I could see how that could lean that direction, but there's that other element of the right to rebroadcast, which we don't have. And we need that hurdle crossed. If we can get over that hurdle, no more deleting. I mean, that's the hurdle we're in.
Yeah, I'll check into it. I appreciate what you're saying.
All right,
I haven't
and
started this patent until
forward what you have to the superintendent, seriously. I don't think it,
For the YouTube stuff,
I understand.
you guys are immune. I don't think anything you said was a problem. Them saying something here, like Ron's saying, I mean, you say something to the public, you're saying it to the public.
All right.
Trump proved that.
Okay. All right, well, look, this won't go away. It's something that's on my mind because, as I told you, I'd be okay with the whole thing being out there, but we're bound to go with legal guidance. Now, with that, let's move on now to the action items.
Just one more comment, Dave.
Yeah.
If the public spoke behind a closed door to somebody on this board, then that's not public comment. But when it's in a public meeting where there is, this room could be filled with the public, and their voice, whatever they say, their words, are now public information because they spoke in a public meeting.
Right, but
Don't-
then it doesn't mean that someone 10 years ago should be able to find it. I mean,
Hey, welcome to
public
the,
versus
welcome to
being
the world
accessible
of the
to
internet.
anyone
Well,
who's looking
Yeah,
for it.
even if we get over that hurdle, now we have part two, right to rebroadcast. Do we have, and that's, if we can get over that hurdle, I think we see a way clear. But at this point, we're stuck. I don't know how else to get around it. So let's move on now to the action items. Superintendent, do you want to walk us through those?
Yep. Okay, please have a consent motion for general G1, G2, and G3 together.
Move to approve.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Under personnel, may I please have a motion for P1, approval of the following changes to the coaching staff for the 2020-21 school year.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
P2, approval of the following resignation from a member of the support staff, Mr. Dwayne Rodriguez.
Move to approve.
Questions, discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
P3, approval of the following resignation from a member of the administrative staff, Dr. Amy Breon, principal for the Loyalsock Valley Elementary School. And I would like to say, I know Amy is not here, but her impact on our district has been a wonderful impact. She has brought a lot to the table for our students, and we are severely going to miss her.
For sure.
This will be a big loss, I agree.
Yes.
Move to approve. Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
And that's it.
That completes our action items. Is there an information item there, Superintendent?
No.
No? Okay, at this time then, public, it's time for even though it doesn't appear in the agenda, it's time for a second comment period. Once again, and the gentleman in the red hat, I didn't get your name. Okay, board, that concludes the public comment section, and it's 10 till 9, so I guess we have 10 minutes to think about whether we want to adjourn. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Oh. Question?
Those videos that are on YouTube right now, which there's only 9, I don't know what the holdup on putting them back on is, but the board members that their comments have been deleted and the administration's comments be deleted, is it possible to have them put back into them videos?
I don't know that anything is deleted.
Oh, yeah.
Well, then
I'm not gonna bring it out here.
Then
but
share
I'm
it with
telling
me.
you,
If,
just like the last board meeting, the whole first part of the board meeting isn't on that video.
It didn't stream.
what-
It did not stream.
oh, all right. Okay.
But there's other videos on there that, administration and board members' comments have been deleted also.
During the meeting or during public comment?
Doesn't matter whether it's during.
Well, I was instructed to delete from the start of public comment to the end of public comment, so it's only the business of the district. Those are my instructions.
Well, the
If
board.
I would do something different,
Okay,
I'll let you know. Once it's edited, I don't know
cannot get back the edited video. A recorded video you can.
But
So
the
when we're on
board,
Zoom, we can get back the video.
the board voted to delete public comment. I don't ever remember a board voting on getting rid of board members' comments and administration comments.
Yeah, what the district says has to be retained. So, yeah, we have to retain what the district says, meaning board,
And-
staff.
Board action items.
Like Dan said,
But it was, we
figured
did
it
talk about
can't be
beginning of
put
public
back on.
comment to end of public comment.
Yeah,
Yes, we did.
yeah. And
Yes, we did.
And then that's, if we have, it's those Q&A sessions that get us in trouble.
Yes,
Yeah.
it
yeah,
was.
Yeah, yeah, okay. All right. All right, yeah. The board, anything the board says should be retained, and the administrative reports should be retained.
You're not
When we go with this Q&A thing, that makes it difficult, because then,
Correct.
then what happens is, what I would say, you got that, but then you don't have the public, and so you get this blocky thing going on, probably that's not probably disjointed, so I'm not sure.
I realize that, Dave, but it still is information that we as board members or administration is putting out there,
Yeah.
and it shouldn't be left
All
alone.
right.
Whether it's blocky and, the public, if they're watching that video and you're answering somebody, at least they get an idea of what that person was talking about.
Yeah,
But I know that we did not do that. I know that we talked about beginning of public comment to end, like Dan is saying. We did discuss that.
No, we
Yeah.
voted on doing.
What you voted on and what you
public
discussed
comment.
might have been two different things, but what we said was public comment period.
Dan, I don't know how difficult it'll be to dissect, leaving what the board, like tonight, what I would have said versus snipping out what the public might say. I don't know how much editing time that's involved, but if that gets to be very tedious,
And I'm concerned that what comments would be taken out of context if the public
Right.
doesn't know what the person is
That's
answering.
why we said it.
So I don't think that would be appropriate.
well,
We as elected officials,
We are, but you can't follow on Facebook, on YouTube, what somebody is answering if you don't know what the question is. It can be taken out of context and misunderstood.
I disagree.
And
so.
Adjourn.
I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
move to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, good night, folks.